And here we are. We are live with Rick Piper, creator of Cross Comics and the Canadian Shield. But before we go straight into our presentation and ask Cross Comics some questions, we're going to do what we love to do, which is a bit of this. How about that, Rick Piper? A bit of Hitchcock, a bit of Planet of the Apes, kind of pseudo trailer thing going on there.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah,
Alfred Hitchcock was really good.
Yeah, he's a noir master, isn't he?
Yeah, the one that I really remember seeing of his is well, I did see a bunch of the episodes of Alfred Hitchcock, but I saw the movie The Birds when I was young.
Yeah,
I think it scared me a little bit.
Yeah, the Hitchcock movie The Birds and the Crikey Psycho. He's just so many, you know. So many great movies that he did. The noir grandmaster director that he is. Now tonight, what we've got for you, Cross Comics, is a presentation. We scrambled the jets to get to. We had Hero Darky Dark that unfortunately had to cancel due to a convention commitment and a transatlantic time scheduling mix-up. But we've rescheduled him for our later date. We're looking forward to speaking to him later. Now, today, we've done our own banner ad for you. It's up on X right now, and Crenshaw, Battle General, has actually retweeted this, and yourself and a few others. And we can't wait to actually go through this presentation. It's the 5 pillars of storytelling. Azrael chats to Cross Comics. It's art, comics, movies, games, and toys. The 5 niches within our umbrella grand niche of storytelling. It's Sunday, the 24th of August. Canadian Shield is the indie comic that we're going to be looking at. We've been keeping our eye on this one for a little while. We haven't get back to it yet, but there's every chance after this chat we might get one of them. And it's 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, London, UK time. And please like, comment, and subscribe. It's just like a Twitter X follow. You log into YouTube. Every one counts. We call it the power of one. And it makes a big difference in terms of shining a little love. So that ELO song goes on our guests, on their comic, and helping to do our bit to grow the indie comics community. Right, and let's go to the next slide. Host introduction. Hello there. Welcome to the 5 Pillars of Storytelling Live, where we talk art, comics, movies, games, and toys. I'm your host, Azrael. My secret identity is Carl Prometheus. Storyteller, artist, promoter of indie creators, indie comics, and the indie comic community. Our style is universal. We can be watched by creative families, creative adults, and the creative younglings. Hey, indie comics are the kind of place where whole families can create comics together, and we can learn from one another in the indie comic community. And our motto is to listen, to learn, and to share. There's nothing wrong with a bit of friendly competition, a little bit of friction. That's all part of it. But a rising tide lifts all boats, yeah?
Yeah.
We're just trying to do our humble bit to actually grow the indie comic community. Here's an inspiring quote. Comics are an international language. They can cross boundaries and generations. Comics are a bridge between all cultures. Osamu Tezuka, legend. Now then, our guests usually aren't one to blow their own trumpet, so we'll do it for you. I think your actions lead other people to praise you, we find. So let's do a guest introduction for Cross Comics, a little bit of prose. You can see those in his Captain Thaddeus Kirk Star Trek shirt. Looks cool. Cross Comics at Comics Cross. Cross Comics is Christian. We love God first, in their own words, people second, and comics third. We do Christian superheroes very wonderfully with indie comics. We've noticed lots of enthusiasm, colourful. So, hey, folks, they say we've reached the goal for crowdfunding Canadian Shield 3. Reached the goal, folks. and on our way to the first stretch goal of $650. So the way past 500 onto the stretch goal of $50, which we are less than $90 away from. And maybe Azrael might help out with that in due course.
Yeah, we're a little closer now. We're like, is it 950? Under 70 now.
Wow, so you're getting even closer, yeah? So you're doing very well there. No doubt, due to a most impressive trailer, we noticed and asked Cross Comics about the other day in terms of how they did it, using a mix of static art and the progressive use of AI for the animation of that static art and music. Is that correct, Rick Piper?
Yeah. I took, pictures that I had of my character and, stuff from the books and gave it to AI and said, do this. Now, some of it did not come out the way I wanted at first. It was a pain in the butt to get it. But then a lot of editing.
But the workable stuff you actually glued together with a video editor?
Yeah, Mobe VI.
And you also got the music from I as well, which it's got that classic LA rocks 80s vibe.
Yeah. I did Suno AI. I tried to get it to come up with lyrics for me. I didn't really like any of them. And I just okay, I'm going to write this myself and just give me some music to it that I think is good.
Very good.
And so that actually was fairly easy.
So it actually does the verbal rock singer for you and the guitaring and that, and you just put the lyrics to it?
Yeah.
Sounds very cool. What AI program is that?
That was Suno AI or Suno.com. It's just on the net. You don't even have to download it or anything. Same with the animation thing that I use for.
You can put your art and your lyrics, your writing into AI and use AI to augment your creativity in a sense.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. We like that. The idea of AI giving you reach.
Yeah. So I'm using it as the tool that it should be used as for doing a comic with it. I would never do that. I don't have anything against anyone that would, but as far as I've found, I've tried to get it to get these still images. Not the ones that I used for what I did, but the still images with the description very rarely come close. So, trying to do it and then do an AI with, each panel, I couldn't see it ever coming close to what I'd want.
So for you, your actual internal vision and your heart's passion, that's what's important that you bring to indie comics. And then really, is you can use AI in terms of giving you reach, but not actually replacing the creator or the creative process. We hear you, and we agree with that philosophy. It comes from the heart and the head first, and then you can use AI to actually warp speed your creative process in a sense, So it doesn't replace you; it kind of augments your reach to a degree. So it's available on Fund My Comic, Indie Comic Specialist, crowdfunder platform. And so we say it's a warm welcome to Cross Comics.
Yeah.
Great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you very kindly stepped in today, and we thought we love that kind of get up and go, can do energy. It's what we live for at the 5 Pillars of Storytelling. When people submit their books to our Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday promos, we look for energy, a get up and can do attitude. Very, very important to us. It doesn't have to be Alex Ross, but we like people with passion, courage, and conviction. They've actually put that trinity, the trinity of a passionate heart, a courageous, getting their comic out there, and then the conviction to keep going with it. Marketing, great product, great noise. So the big 5 questions then, Rick Piper, creator of Cross Comics. Are you ready?
I think so.
Let's do it. Who is, we'll put Darky Dark up there, but we didn't replace that in time for the, we did actually check this about 5 times, but we're rushing, you see. Who is then Cross Comics? Who is Rick Piper of Cross Comics?
Who am I? That is a big question. There's definitely a lot of aspects to me. I guess I'm a bit of a nerd or whatever, however you want to say it, geek. I've been into comic books, reading them since my teens, but I grew up watching like Super Friends, Spider Man, the live action Wonder Woman, Hulk, all that stuff. I've loved that stuff since I was a kid. But I got into reading comics through some Christian Archies. My mom got me to get me to start reading, and well, that snowballed, and then I, created my own little universe. But I'm also into like a lot of sci-fi, like Star Trek, as you might be able to see from there. That was a picture that I took got taken at the last convention of that.
Was that actually at the live original studio then?
Yeah, they had a little background. They had a cardboard cutout of Spock and all that. So, I've got that. Like once I decided to, make my own comic universe, it's delving into the creativity, and it was definitely a work. Like I started this somewhere in my mid-teens.
So you've been doing this a while, since your teens, then?
Yeah, and I'm 52 now.
God bless you, sir. You don't look a day over 29.
Thank you. But yeah, so it was just a passion that got put in my heart because, I'm not sure what I said, I looked at, I was reading comics on a fairly regular basis, and I just thought, there's no Christian superheroes out there. Yeah, sure, say Captain America or Superman have it sort of in their background, but it's not somewhat of a forefront of them. So I decided I'm going to make them.
I'll make it myself. If it's not out there, I'll do it myself.
Yeah. So it's sort of snowballed, and finally in 2020, I was able to do crowdfunding. Well, I did a digital version beforehand, which wasn't really the best, and I drew it in 2019, and then in 2020, I did a crowdfunding for it, the first issue. And I have a whole universe. I have a second character with a book already, too. So, yeah, like I said, I got a passion for comics. It's been a hard road, so sometimes I've gotten a little discouraged, but, I pick myself back up and charge on.
You've got a kind of can-do attitude, and this is something that we spot with successful crowdfunders. It's that energy, a can-do attitude. It's not about necessarily perfection. It's about getting up and having a go and keep going and learning from your mistakes. Focus on the stuff that's positive and focusing on the stuff that unites us rather than stuff that divides us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what's coming across from you is a genuine enthusiasm, a love for comics, the nerdiness. You're wearing your Thaddeus Kirk jumper sweater there with pride on the Star Trek backdrop, and that says a lot about your enthusiasm. Somebody perhaps got a good sense of humor, doesn't take themselves too seriously, but has a genuine love for the passion of what they create. Speaking of which, I just want to say hello to Godfo Universe, whose book we backed. It was the mother trucker of all downloads. It took a long while to download, but boy, it's the kind of comic that when we were a teenager, we would love to. It's got that kind of primordial. Do you know when you're a teenager, you haven't got any distractions or any responsibilities of life?
I wish I had it again.
It's got that primordial energy of two creators who've kept themselves young. It's got that sense of Western civilization underpinning it and celebrating what makes Western culture so great. And it looks into AI art, and it has a religious theme in terms of the quote unquote Godfo universe. And he was actually Godfo Universe was our first. We like to give people a shout out if they're a creative leader in the chat. And creative leader Godfo Universe are. They make a formidable show. The writer and the artist the art is so dark and wonderful, and you'll be reading it forever. And we've sort of looked through it, read the beginning of it, and when we have a good Sunday afternoon on the sofa, one day we're just going to take the iPad and just read and read and read and lose ourselves in it, maybe with a milky coffee and some Nutella and salted butter on a slice of toast. Sounds like a kind of naughty duo that we could get into. But what we like is God for Universe's conviction for the subject matter. The passion is darkly evident. It's like some kind of dark bolero. It's really something else. And that's what we like about indie comics. You can be cross comics. God for Universe can be God for Universe, and they can have their own business plan, their own style, their own writing philosophy, their own color. Not everything has to be like in Superman Fantastic Four, even though it's Marvel and DC. Both movies have teal and mustard as a kind of color grading palette. We're thinking that doesn't make sense. Surely every movie should be individual, but you get that creation by committee. What we like about your book, Cross Comics, and what we like about God for Universe is they couldn't be more different, but we can celebrate them both. And the difference is what they have in common, that indie comics can be different and have the picture of independent thought. Wow, independent thought. What an idea. Individual.
Independent thought.
So we say welcome to God for Universe and all they stand for, as a matter of fact. We respect it, and they were our most honoured first guests, and we had a great time speaking to them. Now then, so here, what does Cross Comics create? Give us your elevator pitch. What's your, if Azrael swooped down into Canada and we're at your convention table, landed by angel wings, and we stood before you and looked at your Canadian Shield 3 book, what would you tell us the book was about?
Well, Canadian Shield is about a Native American, or Canadian, however you want to say it, who's transported through time to modern day, and he's given it, God takes a suit that is made by the Canadian government in the future, near future, that gives Superman-like abilities, and he takes that suit back through time to our modern day, and to where he's transported the guy that's going to become become the Canadian Shield. And an angel appears to him, tells him to put on the suit and travel south. So it's a learning experience for him. He's a person out of time, out of place. So he's learning, and he's also learning to become the hero. Because he's just got a suit that gives him like Superman abilities. He is 8 foot tall, built like the tank, built like the Hulk. So he's got a good lot of strength in and of his own.
He's a big lad all by himself.
Yeah. So you didn't want to mess with him before. You don't really want to mess with him now.
Before or after, you don't want to mess with him, Johnny.
But he's a good-hearted fellow, and he's just trying to do his best in life, and he tries to save people where he can and help out with anybody in any way that he can. In this number 3, he takes on a guy that just accidentally killed somebody, but this guy doesn't want to go to jail. So now there's a little bit of a conflict.
Would you say almost like a redemptive arc? So in this adventure, the Canadian Shield takes on the unrepentant Larson Winters, who will do anything to prevent his mistake from catching up with him. So it's about justice, and the waters of justice are somewhat muddied. Is it black and white, or is there a bit of grey in between? Can people have redemption?
Yeah. Well, yeah, ultimately, but I won't say what happens at the end of the comic, whether he gets taken to justice or not.
No spoilers here. You have to buy the comic, find out, folks.
Right. Either that, or you could watch my channel, because I am right now I'm in the middle of coloring it. And so I'm showing pretty much every page he's going to be showing me coloring it up on my YouTube channel.
Can we show you? Can we show the trailer now?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Here we go, folks. Stage.
A man being transported through time like
we'll just go back to the beginning. Here we go.
A man being transported through time by God. An angel appears telling him, put on a nearby suit. And after that he must travel south. The suit on he is endowed with incredible powers. Canadian shield with the power of strength. Canadian shield with the power of speed. Canadian shield with the power of flight. Canadian shield with many more powers. Will fight the evil that comes his way and help those he can in need. Another man wanting to end his life. Canadian shield saves him in the nick of time. Now he lets the man no reasons to live. With this the man goes on to live many more days. Canadian shield with the power of strength. Canadian shield with the power of speed. Canadian shield with the power of flight. Canadian shield with many more powers. To fight the evil that comes his way and help those he can in need. A villain appears and threatens many. Canadian shield rush to the scene. A battle ensues and blows are traded. The Canadian shield wins and many are saved. Canadian shield with the power of strength. Canadian shield with the power of speed. Canadian shield with the power of flight. Canadian shield with many more powers. Will fight the evil that comes his way and help those he can in need.
Tell you what, we really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. Tell us about it. You must have enjoyed putting that one together. We enjoyed watching it.
Oh yeah, it was. I enjoyed putting it together, but like I said, it was a work of love, and it was definitely it was a little rushed because I wanted to get it together for my campaign. And it was coming tight, and I only had so many credits left on my the program that I subscribed to do the animation. So, unfortunately, some of the things just got in there. Well, like the two-tailed cat, I say have him rescue a cat from a tree. He gives me a two-tailed cat.
Tell you what.
The cats only have one thing. Hey,
here we go from Tim the Passion Olsen. What up, Rick? Tim the Passion Olsen, creator of Melvin. We're back to issue 3. And we recently was having a little gander at the cover of issue 4, Tim the Passion Olsen. He says, hey, man. He says, that dude is everywhere. We're going to type in the chat. Welcome to Tim the Passion Olsen, who was actually a guest on our show a little while back when we were starting to spread our little wings at the 5 Pillars of Storytelling live chat. We do art, comics, movies, games, and toys. We do a live show on Sunday. We do occasionally do unboxings on our videos, and we're trying to get into reviews. We owe Godfall Universe a review, White Owl a review. The Fist is owed a review. We've got a few reviews to do, but we're just wondering what format to do reviews in, because when you've got something like Crenshaw who does reviews in under a minute in this lovely slick format with a Richard Burton velvet voice, you think, how do you compete with that? You don't. You have to do your own thing, and we're going to do our own thing. So yes, Tim Olsen, yes, and he says, and Zed and Odysseus, the backup story. Yes, Tim.
Yeah, and actually, right now he just recently released an issue all by themselves on Amazon. Yeah.
Yes, he's on Amazon. Is the Tim the Passion Olsen? He is on Amazon. Right, back to you, Rick Piper, creator of Cross Comics and the Canadian Shield. Here's the cover to Canadian Shield cover, issue 3. It says trying to get his mouth out of his teeth out of his voice out of his mouth there. And we're going to look at your crowdfunder as well, and what back issues and merch you can get as well. So tell us about this cover. It's cool.
This was drawn by my friend Chris Temalevich. He has his own little comic company called Hero Shack, and it's really good. We've become good friends over the last couple of years. And around the time I was finishing up #2, I asked him, "Can you give me a cover for Canadian Shield 3?" Told him what it was about, gave him the script and all that. And he did this, and this is supposed to be what the villain will look like eventually. Unfortunately, the villain does not go by his name yet, which is Absorb, because he's just going from ordinary citizen to villain. Like I said, he killed somebody, and he doesn't want to take, accountability for that, and end up going to jail and all that. So,
well, Tim says here, just to add to what you're talking about there, epic cover. And he says, in my opinion, it's the best cover of the series so far. To actually see the Canadian Shield in the cover of his, in the visor of his nemesis, that's got the kind of apex drama you want in a cover that sells it. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
we agree.
And that's something that I'm trying to do with each issue, up the ante. Make it better and better.
Make it better and better, absolutely. So each cover you intend to up the ante, make each cover better and better. You're trying to make each indie comic better and better.
Yeah.
And he says here, Timol says, Absorb has a bounty of weapons. Absolutely. We like.
I think he might be thinking of Toxico, because Absorb just absorbs energy and then he can release it in various ways. Almost a little like Parasite from Superman, but he doesn't look ugly.
You know him as the purple guy, but his name is Parasite. You're right. So tell you what, we're liking the taste of it. We might be getting one or two of these ourselves in terms of backing. You're starting to sell it to us, Rick. Keep going. You're on a roll.
Yeah.
Tell us about the interior art, please.
Okay, so in this issue, I'm introducing a new supporting cast, which you see sitting there, John Sims. He's a police officer in the Geraldton community in Northern Ontario. He's a detective. And at the end of the last issue, Canadian Shield stopped a guy named Theoxo from blowing up a power plant in the area. And this guy has given him some lodging and fed him for a few days, because the Canadian Shield's ran out of time. He doesn't really have any support system yet, except, he does go a little bit of hunting, for squirrels or whatever he can get his hands on. And which is probably a lot with that suit, giving him super speed. So
he hasn't got a wife, a family, a friendship network. He's pretty much on his own since he got this suit, isolated.
Yeah.
Go on.
The closest thing he has to a friend at this time is an angel that appears and sort of said, "Hey, gotta go stop this guy."
Right, and tell us about this next page. I'll tell you what, is the same artist who's doing your cover the same artist that's doing your interior? Because we do like the interior art.
No, the artist that's doing the interior, his name is Efren Crespo. He actually did #2. I'm doing the coloring. He's just having a conversation with him. They're getting to know each other, although they probably had some conversations before this, because it's probably been a couple weeks between issues, a week or something like that, and he's probably stayed at this guy's house for the most part in that time.
Do you know what we like about your coloring? At least on what we're seeing here, it's not overly modeled and rendered and gradiented. What we like about it is the way it's almost like cell shader, like in anime, keeping it simple and easy to read.
Yeah, and that's what I've been going for. I like vibrant colors. I like things to stand up. If there calls for dark, let it be dark. And there is some of that in the second issue, because there's some stuff that's sort of at night. So I do a little bit of a black and then take the opaque it down, take the opaque away. I'm not sure how to say it. But they're in a living room, in this guy's living room, so I don't think it should be dark and grungy or anything like that. you should see the colors nice and clear.
I have to say, we like it. It's nice and clear and communicates. It's almost old school, you know what I mean? 70s and 80s style comics where things aren't overly modeled. Before you had computer graphics doing and Photoshop doing the coloring and so forth.
Yeah, and that's something I'm going for. I'm trying to, get the best of all ages. Like there's some good stuff in some good stuff in the Bronze Age, the Golden Age. I'm not sure about the modern age. All those different ages. There's stuff good in each of them, and it's just trying to figure what it out is and put it all together.
So you're almost trying to be a creative curator in a sense of cherry picking the best of the Bronze era, of the 80s era, as you move on to the Iron Age and so forth, so called. Yeah. And so you can and use techniques such as computer coloring, but to actually emulate the bits that work best in the Bronze era and not maybe go too far. Like, for example, you don't need it all singing, all dancing. If it's a living room scene, you just need the colors to be clear and communicate the story.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got Godfo Universe chatting there. What's up, Tim, in the chat? We like that. We like the chat, having a civilized chat. Of course, we like to do things civilized around here. Tell us about this page. What's going on? The continual chat in the living room. I'll tell you what, you're right. He's a big bloke, isn't he? I mean, what?
Yeah, he's 8 foot tall.
8 foot.
If you see the standee behind me, that is to scale. That is 8 foot tall. And if you give me a sec, I'll show you. I'm 5'7", so I can show you how, based on me, how tall he is. I won't be able to hear you for a second. I gotta take them off my headphones.
Here we go. We're going to get some scale model reference, folks. This should be interesting. All right, so you stood against. You've got him on your wall, and you stood against him. We see what you're doing.
He's not on my wall. He's just he's in the middle of my room.
Is that a stand-up or is that wallpaper? What have you done there?
That's a stand-up.
How much did that cost you to create that?
That was about $200 with delivery. And I'm pretty sure that was about Canadian too. I'm not sure whether it was Canadian or American.
Well, 200 Canadian for a big stand-up of your character. You are committed to the cause, Rick Piper of Cross Comics. There's no doubt in your passion, is there?
Yeah. Well, hey, I figured it's a great thing to take to conventions when I can get it there and have them there, and it hopefully would draw people to my booth. In fact, the first year I had them, some guy locally, we have a local cable station, and he wanted to interview me. He had me on his channel and interviewed me.
Yeah, go on.
So, it's helped me.
Tim's saying if you need, I can get you a banner, maybe a pop-up banner for maybe a convention, Tim, yeah? For around about $50 US dollars. That'd be pretty cool. So you've got your own stand-up in your bedroom, $200 US, Canadian. And Tim's saying here, for maybe a pop-up banner, maybe for conventions when you're selling a comic, stand up behind you. He's saying he'll probably get you a banner for around about $50 USD. That doesn't sound bad. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Who else? Hey, brother Kyle and chat pals. Hello, it's Crenshaw, Battle General, FAO. Good to have your shoulders to the boulder. We always recognize when you always try to give you a little like when you retweet or retweet, as they are these days, or re-X our live shows, Crenshaw. We always appreciate that. We'll have to get you, Crenshaw, on a show sometime and talk about all things that you're trying to do. We hear you're trying to be a writer and you've got your own idea for a comic. Be interested to see if we can get you on sometime. He says cryptically, an open letter invite might be ringing its way to you. Watch the skies for your DMs. Watch the DMs and the skies, Crenshaw FAO. Good to have you in the chat. I'm going to put here. Got to catch up with some typing. Welcome to the chat, Master Crenshaw. He's a friend of the show, and I'll tell you what, we've got one or two actually people who are quietly crafting their own comics, and we have said to them, when you're ready, let us know. And there we go. Yoke Fringe. Welcome to the chat, Master Crenshaw. And Yo Crenshaw, says Tim. So keep going then. Basically, what's happening in this page then? Obviously, you've done the scale model test. We've talked about your pop-up, your scale banner in the background there. I mean, crikey, we've never seen anything like that on the show before. You've got your own 8 foot live model basically behind you, where you can actually measure yourself against. We're going to rewind the show later when we watch it back and see what you did there. Because we're thinking, where's he going? Well, always going to get as a comic, but no, you're actually measuring yourself against it. I thought, wow, that's impressive.
It's some in the last few shows that I've been on. It's something that I thought, hey, you know, I wanted to show the standee behind me. I always have. I'm trying to have them always behind me when I'm on a show like this.
You've got the critic standees, which people can sell as merch, usually about a few inches tall, but you've got your own huge, whopping 8 foot tall standee. That is the most impressive thing we've seen on the show so far. So what's happening in this last color interior page, Rick?
What's happening, again, the conversation's continuing. Canadian Shield had them into church in a few, since he's been in this time, and he got told that it's Sunday, so it's like, oh, is there a church open nearby? So, they end up getting up, going to where there's a phone book. This guy happens to still have a phone book. Crazy enough. And, to look up where the church is and all that.
So Canadian Shield is a man of faith then?
Yes, he is.
That's interesting. That's hey, you know what I mean? A superhero is a man of faith, and that you say it is somewhat implied in Captain America and Superman, the kind of all-American ideas of truth, justice, the American way, and you could say open parenthesis, get my words out, and goes to church on Sundays. You know what I mean? You could almost say that about Superman and Captain America. They're each the kind of mom's apple pie kind of heroes for Team Red and Team Blue. Now we've got some black and white pages. What's going on this page? This fourth page we've picked off your Fund My Comics crowdfunding.
Here he's finally. You're actually seeing a battle scene between him and the villain of the issue, Larson Winters, or who will be known as Absorb. So like Larson can let beams come out through his eyes to that have heat type abilities. Like I said, off page, just before Canadian Shield got there, he got in an argument with somebody, and those looks that you can give that if you could really do it, they'd kill. Well, in this case, they did end up killing because beams came out of his eyes and incinerated the guy.
Well, we always wondered about that as Superman. What if he had an off moment and accidentally incinerated Lois Lane? You know what I mean? He might just have an angry moment, an angry thought, and you know what I mean? And the laser vision comes out but he's Superman, so he's got super restraint and super control of his powers. He's not done it to Lois. He's not done laser vision through her eyes yet. Although there was that Marvel Man comic where Stephanie dropped the coffee and Kid Marvel Man actually gave her the face peel treatment with his own laser vision, but we won't go into that on a family-friendly show.
But the thing also with Superman, he's had years of practice. This guy didn't even know he had powers. And that's the moment they manifested that argument. Gives a look over with that look that could kill him, and
an accident. That makes the morality of arresting him interesting. So it won't be murder; it will be manslaughter, perhaps. The charge.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Before the police can get there, he's like Canadian ends up there like a couple seconds later or whatever, but because he hears the cry and then he gets an escort to get there right away, so there's less time.
Crenshaw, go on. Crenshaw's saying here at some point Clark Kent must do a dad sneeze and blow our neighborhood down. Hey, could happen. I mean, Hulk's got the old hand clap when he wants to blow the whole town down. But if Superman just inadvertently had a wee sneeze, it would cause a lot of damage, Crenshaw. That's one of those suspension of disbeliefs we have in the comics reading community, isn't it? Where we kind of forgive our heroes the things they might do if they had our human frailties.
Yeah, but even when
Sure.
they've showed different things over not in media and maybe in the comic where he has to sneeze and somehow he gets it so it's not so it's a controlled sneeze, so it's not so powerful. Yeah, sure, he blows a few trees down or something like that, or a death across the road, something like that. But it's not an all-out powerful sneeze.
We've got another page of black and white interior art by your artist who's got some nice black and white drawing chops on him. Tell us what's going off this page. The battle continues.
Yeah, and it's just them battling back and forth, Canadian ship. This guy is more powerful than anything, he's faced so far. He's only faced one other villain so far. So, and he's got a little bit of a handle on his powers. This guy's just learning it. So it's like he's just trying to figure out what he can. The villain's trying to figure out what he can do, and he's also trying, to get away. He can take a blow from Canadian Shield somewhat.
Well, I'll tell you what we like about your artist. We've got lots of speed lines. It's dynamic. It's well illustrated. You know what I mean? It makes the character look presence. That's the word we're looking for. Canadian Shield has presence. 8 foot tall, either on your wall or in that comic, seems to have a sense of presence. 8 foot tall, you're going to notice a guy who's built like that. And to be fair, he's going to have to stoop down to get through your doorway.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure, absolutely. Now, we couldn't resist. We like some of the stuff on your crowdfunder. So we had to pick some things out, like trading cards. And what we really like is your Canadian Shield, like the power stats. And the poster looks fantastic.
Yeah.
You've got an ash can as well. And you can get a reforged issue 1 of Canadian Shield.
Yeah.
The second issue. Always nice when you have crowdfunders where you can actually get the back issues. And they're quite cheap, the back issues as well. So they're affordable to pick up, if you want digital, And you've got the paper copy as well. Can you walk us through the crowdfunding options, please, and the prices, please, Rick?
Okay. Well, the John Sims one there, that is one I get to $6.50 Canadian. That's anybody getting digital will get, not digital, sorry, physical, will get a physical power card, just like you see the Canadian Shield one there. It's got his stats and a little bit of history. I'm in the middle of making his card for that, just like that. Now, obviously, his stats, since he's just a normal human, they're going to be all down there. But, I think people would like a little bit of backstory to, the new supporting cast member for Canadian Shield. So that's just like that. The one below is the Canadian Shield power card with stats.
Looks terrific.
And I did that for the last campaign. A lot of people got that for free on the last campaign, but I did a bunch of overprinted it because I believe in overprinting because I'm going to go to cons and different things, and I want to be able to sell it. Back issues.
As people get into it, more and more people are going to want back issues.
So on my campaign, that is $2 Canadian plus shipping, which is I think $1 or $2. I forget what I put for shipping, and that's worldwide. Now, there are 3 different power cards on my campaign that you can buy. There's Canadian Shield, the Angel that he interacts with on a regular basis, Messenger, and they're all $2 each, Canadian, plus shipping. And then there's the villain from the last issue, his power card stat as well. But you can get all 3 of them, and then instead of for $6, I think I put it for $5 plus shipping. So and the shipping you would save on too if you're getting all 3, because I wouldn't be charging $2 for each one. I just charge. I can put them all in the same envelope, and it's only going to cost me $2. They don't weigh a lot. So,
who's your artist for the poster? We like the poster. It really it's got that Alex Ross vibe going, hasn't it? That kind of golden sunshine, kind of golden renaissance, kind of breaking of a dawn heroic splendor.
The poster is done by John Dillard. He has his own book called The Buckler. who is actually sort of a spin-off of the Canadian Shield. He's been a friend of my channel for quite some time. And actually, this is one of the covers for the original first printing of the Canadian Shield. But he ended up creating his own character that was supposed to be a sidekick of Canadian Shield, but failed miserably. Canadian Shield gave him a dressing down, and now his character's become a villain. Now his universe is totally separate from mine. I've lent him Canadian Shield for his universe. You know, we're good buddies. I don't care about any money or what that from him. He's done a lot of good stuff for me. So he's a great artist, as you can see. And that was done like 5 or 6 years ago.
Really? 5 or 6 years ago? Wow, impressive.
And he's actually got a couple. He's also I think you've heard of Yellow Flash. He's the artist on Yellow Flash's project, The Golden Patriot.
Is he?
And as you can see, you have the 3 issues there, and that's only $10 Canadian, like shipping. The poster, and as you can see, you get all 3 issues together, physical or digital. Physical is, I believe, $30 plus shipping Canadian. So for Americans and for the British, that's a little lower than $30.
I'll tell you what, you've got a philosophy then of making your stuff generally affordable.
Yeah. I'm trying to bring the prices down with each campaign, maybe not a lot. Like my first campaign, I did the shipping and the thing was all in the price. It was $25 American. So for Canada, people in Canada, that was a little bit more. But now that, 25, say somebody in the States, it's only $10 Canadian shipping, but, that's, $25 Canadian to get it, which is like $20, 15, 20, somewhere between $15 and $20 for somebody in the States, to get,
What about the Ashcan? Tell us about the Ashcan. Why did you choose to create an Ashcan?
Well, I had thought of the Ashcan a while back, and I wrote it up. I'm getting a guy named Alpha Proto to draw it up, and that was just, it was something quick that I could give away for free. It's just going to be all black and white, and it just gives a little bit of his history, a little bit of what he's done with his powers, and a hint at what's to come for Cross Comics and the Canadian Shield. And
it's to give your fans and people who buy your indie comic a flavor of what Cross Comics is all about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I want to do this one. I have 7 major characters, and I want to do this for each of them. And hopefully, once they're all done, put them in a book, have it colored, and then some stuff that's hinted at in them end up being a story arc in the actual comics based on it.
I'll tell you what, you've got a good choice there of trading cards. We like the stats on it with a background check. You've got 3 paper comics that you can buy. You've got digital options for international customers who are long suffering with shipping. Although your shipping rates don't sound too bad.
Yeah. For Canada, I charge $5 for. Well, this is just for one floppy. It's obviously different for different things.
Different regions. Yeah, it's
But Canada's 5, States is 10, and the rest of the world's 15. Canadian. Okay. That's all Canadian funds.
Well, it's not a disaster. It's doable, perhaps. You know what I mean? If you're going to get 3 paper issues and maybe the trading card, then maybe it's not so bad. It's something that Peter Simetti of Alterna Comics says. Even though the flat rate seems expensive, when you're taking the fact that you're buying his paper comics for just a couple of quid a pop, and let's say you get about 20 of them, and it actually works out when you think about it, probably around about $4 per book in terms of including shipping. So Peter Simeti certainly makes the business case for his traditional newsprint comics, and he's actually going into with his latest crowdfunder with Luke Stone's Fund My Comics. He did crowdfunder to raise money for his own traditional printing press in the style of newsprint. He'll still outsource the color covers, but the actual the newsprint style. So he's got a kind of mix of like a kind of print on demand kind of newsprint style, which is retro progressive, I guess. We're going to look into maybe buying some of his newsprint comics in time. You could even, if you had a comic, an indie comic, and you wanted to try that authentic old school style newsprint vibe, you could actually go Peter Simeti's printing process as well. So he's thrown his hat into the indie comic print on demand arena, I guess. It's that sounds very cool and exciting to us. See, indie comics full of innovation.
Yeah, and you know, like I want to make things affordable, because if you make things affordable, more people can buy.
He says here, Tim the Passion also says the average card set for something like Marvel cards, a base set, is 150 to 170 cards. There's no reason why indie comics creators like Rick and Cross Comics and his Canadian Shield universe can't imagine and dare to dream and aspire to creating a set of 50, 75, 100, 150 cards, maybe more themselves.
With all the characters I have, I could easily do 100.
There you go, Tim. Rick's saying
Tim would know. I think Tim would know that. He's been on my channel. In fact, I was I think I was the first person to give him an interview about Melvin #1. That's a story. That's a funny story, at least from my point. He even laughs at it now too.
It's nice that Tim visits you on your channel, and that you know, we have that brotherhood that you can have with the Star Trek technology of using StreamYard and stuff like that to get on YouTube and get your own voice out there. And what does Tim say again? Epic story, right there. And we agree with you, Tim. You know, every person can aspire to be epic. You know, whether it's Godfall Universe, Crenshaw's writing project bubbling under the surface, whether it's Tim's John Carter Warlord of Mars-esque style universe with some excellent art by the artist who I never quite remember. What's his name? Silas? Is that the name of your artist, Tim?
Sid.
Sid, that's it. And here we go, 5 years ago, I believe. Did you start your channel 5 years ago, Tim?
No, he means on my channel. Like, I started mine probably 6 or 7 years ago.
Got you. Sid Taylors is the artist on Tim's Melvin, and a very accomplished artist he is too, with very refined, silky, and elegant black and white lines.
I actually inked Melvin #3.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
And for Melvin #3, I inked the cover and colored it as well.
Silky skills. I didn't know that. And he's going, this is true. Well, get it right here, put the right one up. This is true, says Tim Allister. I didn't realize. So basically, Rick, you inked Melvin 3, which I have.
Oh,
that's
cool.
amazing. Isn't that amazing? It's a small world, isn't it, in the indie comics? Yeah. Wild frontier of indie comics. A small universe. We are bound by webs of connections. And we've said here, elegant artist with silky skills, that Sid. And here we go. He's saying I still owe him a copy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta give him my address.
Yeah, give him your address. You'll get your copy, won't you? Right then, let's go to the next slide. So the premise then, we'll do our movie voice for this. It's been a while since we've used it, our baritone. Canadian Shield 3 begins shortly after the events of Canadian Shield 2. In this issue, I introduce a new friend and foe. The villain of the story is Lawson Winters, later to be known as Absorb, who goes from being an ordinary citizen to a dangerous criminal as he evades pursuit and responsibility for his actions. Is that about right, Rick?
Yeah.
And Tim's saying, yes, please, address And that copy, please, sir. So, yes, that's the premise of Canadian Shield 3, folks. If you're watching this in the future, in your present, just go on over to the crowdfunder at Fund My Comics, Canadian Shield 3, put it in the search and have a little look at it. And you'll find it affordable, shipping not too bad. You can go digital if you want. And some of that merch, like the poster, is looking on point. And the trading card with Canadian Shield with all the stats, that is cool. Right here, will I like Canadian Shield? Now, we've actually included the Reforged Remastered 1 there and issue 2, and obviously currently our focus, Canadian Shield 3. Will I like Canadian Shield, Rick, and who is it for?
I believe you will. Anybody that I've talked to that's read any of them has loved them. Who's it for? I'm trying to go for an all ages audience, so you can, have this in your hands as a kid. I know some creators that have read it to their kids and they liked it. And adults have read it. Fellow creators have read it and loved it, and the fact that it's for everybody, good for everybody. I'm trying to make it Christian based, but I'm also at the same time, I don't want to beat anybody's head over with the Christianity in it. I just want it. I wanted it. I thought at the time, some Christian entertainment in formal comic for Christians, but at the same time, I thought I want to get this in the hands of mainstream people. Hopefully, it'll bring them to Christ. But at the same time, it needs to be good entertainment. It doesn't. You can't have over the top cheesiness and like I've seen, a bunch of Christian movies that were made in like early 80s, 70s, and they're just, you cringe at them, and it's like, no, I don't want that in my comics.
Well, yeah, it's you got to be a little bit careful that you don't preach to people. As Stanley once said, that let heroes have feet of clay, and let the reader make their own mind up, basically.
Yeah.
And Tim's saying something here, actually, in terms of who's it for. He's saying it's for anybody who likes a traditional comic book with a Christian twist. That's a nice soundbite, Tim. We like that. And he says again, actually, to kind of further refine your sales pitch. Rick's books are for indie comics. What is for indie comics what Striper is for 80s metal. So there you go. It's you've got a tightly focused book. And a tightly focused target audience. You know what I mean? It's clear, right? From the clear coloring to the clear hero concept. And, you've got a frictionless path in terms of your affordability to encourage people with all wallet sizes to be your customer. We like that. I'm going to put here, Tim's on fire in the chat tonight. And there we go. Again, what we like is having creative leaders in the chat, supporting other creative leaders, and our current resident expert, Rick Piper. But we like the fact that Godfold Comics can be in the chat. We like the fact that Tim Olsen of Melvin can be in the chat. You know what I mean? And that you're supporting one another's books. That's why we feel that's the differentiator between indie comics and corporate comics. Corporate comics, we don't know what they're doing, but indie comics, they're there to support one. A rising tide lifts all boats. Because the corporate comics is almost, you get the vibe that it's almost some of the last man standing. It's creation by committee, and it almost like there isn't that human soul in the machine. Whereas when you're dealing with just one person, Rick Piper, and he's and maybe his artist, or Melvin, or in terms of Melvin, Tim and his artist, you've got a very low gate team. It's just you and maybe a 2-person team or 3-person team, sometimes just one person on their own. And this makes indie comics far more personal and intimate. It's you're not being sold some kind of corporate creation by tick committee,
Yeah. Something a few people have asked me in the past, normies, if you will, they said, oh, why don't you bring your stuff to DC or Marvel to do it? And I'm like, no, they'll ruin my characters.
Yeah, Tim's currently on the floor, rolling around on the carpet, trying to put himself out. He's been leading the chat by way of fire example this very evening. So yes, what we like about you, Rick Piper, and Canadian Shield, and all you stand for, is a positive message for indie comics. that we can all do our own thing and enjoy it and support one another. It's brilliant. Keep the drama inside the comic. Right, here we go. Why do you create indie comics, Rick Piper of Cross Comics, and when did your journey with indie comics begin?
Well, I think I said it a little earlier, but I will be. Like I said, I grew up watching Super Friends, all the, superhero type comic books. And then I got into reading, comics through Archie Comic, because my mom got me some Christian Archie. And that just snowballed. And like I said, at one point I decided, there's no Christian superheroes. I want to create them. And I started creating. Then that was back in the early 90s. Unfortunately, I've been by myself most of the time. I've run in and tried to drag a few friends in, but ultimately they said sorry, it's ain't for me, which is all right, and I've just kept plowing on. I felt this is what I was supposed to do, and then a few years ago, the crowdfunding started, and it's like, well, this is and YouTube. I got on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube.
A little bit. It's like, I watched Ethan Van Sciver a few times back when he was not so drama driven, and I liked his art thing, and I'm like, well, I can do this YouTube thing. And then I got on to it, and then found out about the crowdfunding. It's like, okay, I can do the crowdfunding, the way to get my comics printed, because another guy that has a lot of money. So it's like, I went to, I think, one convention before I really started doing it. I was just selling my art, because I was doing a lot of art, and I had a digital version that sucked. I'll admit it now, it sucked. But yeah, I guess I've been indie for more years than I would realize, but I didn't have an outlet. I didn't have an audience. I created my Facebook account and created something on there back 2012, 2009, something like that. For my comics, trying to get the word out about them.
Yeah.
And it's been slowly building.
It's been slowly building. So for you, was crowdfunding almost the pivotal point, the fulcrum shift, the pivot point where you could take it from hobby to make it more than a hobby?
Yeah, I'd say so. It was the YouTube and the crowdfunding combined, because the YouTube I was able to, get on and start getting more of an audience and just having a Facebook group and page. Getting the odd person here and there, being in, some indie group or some superhero.
So picking up people from different platforms like Facebook, but video is the message of today, isn't it? It's accessible. You've got YouTube that's going out to billions of people. So actually, you can really sell the project there. You can sell the fact that you're doing the writing or the art processes on there. And basically, you can actually sell the experience of your comic. You can build up an intimate relationship with your audience. Yeah.
And that, like I said, that helped. And then, crowdfunding was almost right around the same time. I held off on doing the crowdfunding until I built a little bit of an audience, because, I think you need a little bit of an audience, I think, before going and doing that, because otherwise it's hard to sell the crowdfunding even when you have an audience, unless you have millions of subscribers or hundreds of thousands.
So you wouldn't recommend just rocking up with a comic and you've got an audience of one. You're not going to be able to sell it. It's an uphill battle, isn't it? It's a Sisyphean task of pushing the ball up the hill. Whereas if you build a bit of an audience first, let them get to know you, invest in you as a person, then invest in the idea of your comic, and then you get the courage to put it out there, and you have the conviction to keep on going. They'll think, hang on, this guy is serious because he's turning up every day. We can take a chance on him because he takes a chance on us every day.
Yeah. And the other thing that I did to help build my channel is, I drew the mainstream stuff. People know the mainstream stuff. So if they see Batman in your title, oh, drawing Batman tonight, they'll come, they'll check you out. Maybe they'll subscribe, maybe they won't. You know, I've got a lot of people.
So you're reeling them in with the mainstream stuff. Very clever cross marketing.
And then, you know, at the same time, you mentioned that you have your own characters and all that, and you know, oh, you have your own characters. You tell them about your own characters. You know.
So
I don't do as much of that, you know, drawing the main stuff as I should. I'd like to get back into that, maybe to draw some more people in.
So you got TikToks. That way, it's like the rock band that starts off doing covers of popular tracks, and then they introduce the audience who are listening to their music to here's one of our numbers.
Yeah.
Doing the pub circuit when they're actually doing covers of popular music, and then say, here's one of our numbers. So gradually introduce people into what they do.
Yeah.
Similar sort of idea. We like it. It's a clever tactic. And I tell you what, that is some sage advice right there. Actually, that's liquid gold for anybody who's listening. You build your audience, cross over into the mainstream with the idea of bringing them over to you, hook them in, reel them in. Wolverine, Batman, Hulk, Superman, Deadpool, all the popular stuff, the X-Men, and then bring them across to what you're doing. We think that's great cross marketing advice. Now, saying just what you did, what advice would you give to aspiring creators, Rick? On this show, we listen, learn, and share.
Yeah, well, obviously, a lot of what I just said, you know, get yourself an audience, and you know, there's an audience for almost everything. It's just figuring out what it is. You know, like if you look at like The Simpsons, right? You know, like that art style. You know, like most people wouldn't have thought that would work. You know, but or Ren and Stimpy, or you know, like South Park. But look how popular these shows are. You know, they drew them in. You know, and they're people like the art style, and you know, maybe some of it's for me, some of it's not. And, you know, the messaging or whatever. But you know, there's a art style or whatever for anybody. You just got to stick at it, and it's going to be hard. So it's not going to be easy. Don't despise small beginnings. You know, because you could eventually become big. You know, although they were indies back then in the sense, or they were indies back then in the sense, Marvel and DC, they were once small, you know, and it's through getting a character, getting noticed. Yeah, unfortunately, they had some big backers to get their comics out to, you know, a lot of places, or they were a big company, you know, or it's offshoot of a big company making this stuff, you know, publishing companies at the time that thought, oh comics, let's throw our hat in the ring, see whether we can get something. And, you know, we've got, you know, they are what they are today.
If you think about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back in the late 80s indie comic black and white boom, they were small ones. And now a copy of that is worth a lot of money, in mint condition probably. And it's now a multi-million IP for each creator. Each layered. So in that sense, there's no reason why, if we indie creators keep refining our craft, we start off humble, like you're saying, start off humble and be open to the universe and be a person of passion, belief, faith, and see where that journey takes you.
Yeah. And sort of, you got to be willing to show a little all the time, you know, like you mentioned your stuff that anybody and everybody, you know, the right person, you contact the right person, and it can just blow up in a good way.
In a good way, yes. You roll the dice, you might score a 6, yeah?
Yeah. You know, like you were just mentioning with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they were putting their stuff out in the comic shops, and you know, and somebody heard about them, and then you had the Saturday morning cartoon of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which, you know, really I think helped the Turtles blow up in a good way, you know.
Yeah. Before you know it, you've got a cartoon series, then you've got a movie, then you've got all the merch that you can throw at it, and then the money starts rolling in with different revenue streams. We think your advice, Rick Piper, is sage: be humble, turn up, and keep going and
Yeah.
look to network to find that dice roll of a 6. It might be just the spark that enables your IP to blow up. I mean, there aren't many Canadian heroes that we know of. There are a clutch that we've done our research on. Obviously, we liked Weapon X, Jim from Alpha Flight. We won't tell people what happened to him. It still upsets us to this day. Alpha Flight 12, double issue. There's Captain Canuck, and we like yours, Canadian Shield, 8 foot tall, weighing in a lot of.
Even Superman is sort of Canadian. One of his creators was born here in Canada, and then he ended up going down to the U.S. and he met the other guy in high school, you know, and
so spiritually half Canadian. That might make sense. Spiritually half Canadian. I didn't think of that. That's something you've taught us. Now, tell you what. So keep an open mind. Turn up. Be consistent. Be humble. And make the right connections. That's sage advice for anybody who's in a creative indie comics family. We think that's liquid gold. Now, number 5. What superhero would you be yourself?
oh, that's so hard. Some ways I want to say Green Lantern, but I'm not sure whether I think I have the willpower, but I'm not sure it works that way.
We'd like to be Green Lantern or Wonder Woman, and just hold that thought, folks. Anybody's watching it in the future, in the present, but we admire Green Lantern and Wonder Woman. So you're thinking Green Lantern, but you're not sure if you've got the willpower for it. Who's your backup then?
Either Flash or Spider-Man.
A Flash,
because
or Spider-Man.
I've always dreamed in the sense of that speed to get from A to B.
It's impressive, isn't it? I mean, we remember back in the early days, we loved Flash's costume design. It's red, little flash kind of diagonal zigzags of lightning bolts on his costume. It's a beautiful costume. It's got that silver era elegant simplicity.
Yeah, and Spider-Man. The reason I think Spider-Man because I'm a bit of I do a lot of plans, and I can try and be a little bit wisecracking. And then in some ways, I've said about my life a lot of times. I lived a Peter Parker life because I say with him, no matter what he does, good, bad, or in between, it somehow comes back to bite him in the butt.
Yeah, sometimes, that Peter Parker, I think in us indie creators, there's that little bit of shyness and modesty, and we try to do our best, and sometimes life does come back to you, whether you mean well or you like, but doesn't mean that you'll always get good results. The universe seems to be that sometimes the divine creator and the universe are trying to teach us things that maybe life shouldn't be too comfortable or smooth, so that we learn while we're here on this earth.
Yeah.
Bonus questions, don't worry, not too many. Number 6, what are your plans for Canadian Shield going forwards? Will we get 4? We want more.
Yes, you will. Actually, the artist that's doing the Ashcan is going to be doing number 4. And beyond, even beyond Canadian Shield, like I said, I have a very expansive universe. My next crowdfunding is going to be for the second issue of a character called Snowdrift. Hopefully that will be taking place December, January this year. After that, then I'm going to be introducing a whole new hero called The Flame with his own book. And then we will get on to Canadian Shield 4, hopefully by June, July next year.
Back to Canadian Shield 4 and 5 next year.
Well, 4, and then we're going to cycle through some.
So if you get to 4, will you put together maybe a trade paperback?
That's something I've always, people have said about. I'm just not sure where to break it off because to me, his first arc is going from the first issue to about the 16th because when he was back in his place where he came from in time, he was in this area where I live, Hamilton, Ontario, but from back then. And in his traveling south, he's going to end up back in Hamilton. So to me, that's the usually trade paperbacks are supposed to be an art, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I would think to do one, although that's a bit large, 16 books for a trade paperback.
Yours is going to be like a Dave Sim Cerberus kind of telephone book.
Yeah. Well, good thing they're all only about 20, somewhere between 23 and 24 pages, so it'll still add up. But I could do one sooner. I'm just not sure where I want to
cut it off for the compendium. So you're heading towards compendium territory rather than trade paperbacks. You could actually fill maybe 3 or 4 trade paperbacks if you go to 16. Hey, might be worth looking into.
And I've got plans way beyond the 16 too. For stuff for his comic and my other ones. I've got the first year and a half for Canadian Shield. That's when we see the formation of my Justice League or Avengers, and then at the 2.5 year mark, I want to do some sort of event, like DC and Marvel do that, what they've done in the past. Once a year, they have a special thing.
No reason why indie comics can't do it too. I tell you what we like actually about some indie creators is those who have a sense of ambition. They're talking. They might be on issue 3, but they're talking double figures. You see it with Peter Sametti's book. Yeah, you see it with a few others. They've got that sense of ambition to go into double figures. You know what I mean? Wolf and Batsy and a few other indie comics. They're heading towards double figures. They're in double figures, or they intend to plan to go there.
Yeah, and I've always, one of my best or greatest ambitions. How we talk about the big 2 for comics. I want it to be the big 3: DC, Marvel, and Cross.
Well, why not? Dream
I've
big.
had that thought for years.
Well, it's a thought. Manifest it. Dream big. We like indie comic creators who dream big. We like that idea. There's nothing wrong with having a bit of moxie. You know what I mean? Humbleness, but a bit of moxie too. Thinking, why shouldn't it be me? Why shouldn't I be ambitious with my product? Why can't I do trading cards and an A2 poster and be on issue 3, but be dreaming of issue 16, getting into double figures and having an 8 foot tall, by gosh and golly, that 8 foot stand up behind you is impressive.
And heck, just recently I got somebody to do a model of the Canadian Shield, 3D model, and I printed it out. I'm just in the middle of trying to get it so it can be rigged and posable.
That'd be cool. I tell you what, we think that statues and mannequins and marquettes and action figures are the next thing that indie comic creators are pushing for. That's the next thing. So you're getting ahead of the game.
Yeah. In fact, on my last campaign, I actually did have an action figure for sale, and I could probably still get it. Unfortunately, it was a lot of money because it got created by overseas, and for him to print it, send it, it's like $300 or $400.
It's a lot of money, but
somebody did buy it on the last campaign, and I got the prototype. So
if you actually make it, rather than be too burdensome and say, right, we're going to print as many as we need, but keep it super exclusive, then somebody will buy it.
Yeah. And well, that's the thing. Now, if I can get this so it's posable, some different poses, and then if I can take it and get somebody to make it into parts, so I can, be an action figure. I've got myself a small 3D printer here. So, going constantly, I could print a bunch out.
You could, well, that's we feel merch is going in that 3D printer sort of territory. You know what I mean? And the prices of this kind of merch are coming down all the time, but you can still charge a premium for a marquette or an action figure. You see what Todd McFarlane Toys have done with their lines. They've taken toys into another universe, another dimension.
Yeah.
Now, favorite pizza, Rick Piper of Cross Comics.
Ooh, favorite pizza. I like to put a lot of different items on. I usually like to mix it up every time. I like to try and make it a little different. I just don't like for most people, there's 2 major items that could be on a pizza, and those I do not like I like pineapple, but I do not like it on my pizza. And anchovies. So probably anything that's, olives, green pepper, sausage, ground beef.
More of a meat feast pizza kind of guy.
Pardon?
More of a meat feast pizza kind of guy.
Yeah. I like the veggies. I like the meat. There's a place that I have that has like, I don't know, maybe 100 different items to choose from. So
Wow,
I mix it up all the time. I very rarely get the same pizza twice.
So for you, pizza is all about variety and the spice of life.
Yeah.
So all that pizza talk is making us feel hungry, Rick. Now, where can they find out more info about Cross Comics and the Canadian Shield?
Obviously, over on my YouTube channel, Cross Comics, I'm on a lot of social media. Probably X is the one that I post on the most. I'm also on Facebook. I have a page and a group. But the group offers something very unique. There is a bunch of in the file section, I think it is. There's a bunch of profiles that you can read of my characters that will be in Cross Comics in the future. That's heroes, villains, and supporting cast, as well as some scripts, some first issue scripts of characters that have come, and I think I have the first 6 scripts of Canadian Shield up in there. So, that's something that if you're in my Facebook group, you can go over and read. I don't think a lot of people take advantage of it, but it's there.
I'll tell you what, Rick, you've got you're well covered in terms of social media. You're on X, you're on YouTube. You've got your crowdfund out there. You are proof positive that indie comics start with just a man and his dream and his passion. Tell you what, who we got in the chat tonight? Look at this, sticking his head around the corner. It's the one and only venerable John's Longbox. Great to have you on this show, John's Longbox. Hello there. Do you want to ask Cross Comics a question, John's Longbox? It's good to have you on the show. It's been a while since we've seen you. We've backed, by the way, Heroic Tales 2. We have. The 5+ Storytelling, we did our trailer for Heroic Tales 2. That is worth a look, as was the first one. John's come out swinging with the first 2 books, Heroic Tales 1 and 2, with his sun-kissed artist, Renzo Rodriguez, who is almost got that kind of George Perez sun breaking of a dawn kind of vibe. Very elegant artist, very positive, and it's probably got that vibe of Bronze Era comics. That probably a bit of what you're channeling as well too, Rick.
Yeah.
And he's going, hey, John. We do listen to your channel from time to time. He gets all the guests on. He actually snags quite a few. He did get the late great Jim Shooter on out July, and the guy Chuck Dixon of Nightwing fame, and who's currently writing the horse for Rippaverse. Can't argue with that, can you? You know what I mean? So yes, Mr. Longbox, says Tim Olsen. Yes, he is Mr. Longbox, and he says, "How are you?" And who we got here? Is that Joshua?
Joshua. He's one of my a long time subscriber to my channel.
Is he? Joshua, do you create? He's not the artist on
no
comics. No, not that Joshua. I just had a random thought for a moment.
I'm not sure how long you've been around this indie comics community. There used to be
probably the last. As long as we've intensely been on Twitter X, we're going to call it, probably in terms of our positive journey with reflecting that was Star Million, where we started hanging around. He's another Mega Olympian champion, does the Orion Saga. He's phenomenal as well. A lovely guy, champions indie comics. We started our positive indie comics promotion journey about 3 years ago now.
Okay.
Like, they bought to Twitter 2012, but we just thought, what's the point of this? And didn't do anything until about 2022.
It sort of sounds like me. Like I joined Twitter like 10, 15 years ago. I'm like, what is this? It's just stupid. And I got off of it. And then after I got back, when I started my YouTube channel, I noticed a lot of people were using Twitter to create DM groups to bring people on. So it's like, oh God, I got to create a Twitter account.
Well, you realize it's not renowned. Twitter, or X, you want to call it that, is not renowned for being an indie comics community. You get that where people vibe with Facebook. But one person recently said that Facebook is a bit low key now compared to X. I mean, since obviously the one and only Elon Musk took over X, he's actually rebranded it, renamed it, made it a very popular news site in many countries, the most popular in the world, because it offers an alternative point of view. You know what I mean? And whether you agree with it or not is another thing. But the fact that it offers an alternative point of view and allows other people to have a different point of view, so you can both sit on your side of the fence. You don't have to get on. You don't have to like one another. But if you're civil, have discourse and respect one another, individuals there's 8 billion people on the planet, and they're all likely going to believe different things and have different points of view. That makes sense, doesn't it? And that's the beautiful thing about the human choir. There's friction and harmony, and there's friction and harmony in equal measure, yin and yang, because we all have things we like about one another and all things that we don't like about one another. That's part of the beauty of indie comics. But we can love the things that unite us, and we can actually celebrate the things that divide us, and say, well, enough. That's from his point of view. I don't share it, but I respect the right to have the freedom to have that decision. You know what I mean? So I mean, Twitter's actually become. We found actually, if we've seen over 1,000 projects and back to over 100, we would say there's probably 1,000 more that maybe K-pop Funky, who's the killer queen of indie comic promo. She's probably had so many guests that we've never heard of, along with the few that we have had on this show as well. But she's very impressive indie comic promoter. John's Longbox is venerable. He's a pillar of the community in terms of the way he celebrates people who've worked in comics and indie comics as well. I mean, the job he's done with his YouTube channel has been outstanding. Remember when we were helping him get to 800? He's well over 800 now. He's well over 1,000, probably about 1,600 subscribers now. Is it John's Longbox? I mean, you've certainly made a lot of indie comics, and it's actually helped him create a platform for his own comic. So Rick Piper, we can find you on YouTube, X, and your crowdfunder Fund My Comics, and maybe Facebook as well.
Facebook. I'm on Instagram too.
Instagram too.
Unfortunately, there's so many out there. I try and get, when they come up, I try and get on them. Unfortunately, I don't do my presence as much as I should on.
So kind of like the big 4 or 5 you're on.
Yeah.
Now, Rick, we would say you are the kind of indie comics creative leader. We don't call our followers followers. We call them creative leaders. And we've mutualed you tonight as well. And we've been following you for a while back. And we've been keeping an eye on the Canadian Shield. And we like the fact that you turn up, you're consistent, you've got passion, you're positive, you get out there, you learn, you decided to build your audience first, then put your comic out. So you basically got you got your message out through YouTube, got people to know you, and then use your crowdfunder as a vehicle on Kickstarter to get the message out there and now fund my comic. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And what we like about you, you kind of embody everything that we love in terms of the potential of indie comics. So we would like to thank you for being our special guest. We wish you well.
Thank you for having me.
It's all right. You're more than welcome. Thanks for stepping into the breach. Otherwise, there'd been no live chat tonight. But we like the fact that you got up, get up and can-do attitude and brought your energy to the show. And so we wish you well for Canadian Shield. We think we're going to back it, you know. We think we're going to back it, you know. We think we probably will. We're going to commit
awesome.
We'll probably go for issues 1, 2, and 3. We can't get 1 and not have 2 and 3. We're just, especially now we know he's 8 foot and he goes to church. Hey, what are you going to do? And we'll probably go for the digitals and save on the shipping. But we like the look of it. It's colourful. It's got a bit of old schoolness, but it's progressive as well. And we'd say, so we wish you well for Canadian Shield and your crowdfunder. And Godspeed, Cross Comics. And we say, please like, comment, and subscribe. Give Rick Piper, creator of Cross Comics, his YouTube, his X. Go and follow and go to his crowdfunder. See if it's affordable. See if you can back him. Everyone counts to support somebody else's dream for so little money too.
And I'd say if they can't back, just share it out to maybe somebody you know what can back it, will like it, and they can back it, because sharing out is just as good.
It's free to follow. It's free to share. It's free to tweet. It's free to actually get the message out to somebody else who might be able to patronize the book, to offer patronage to your book. And John's just saying here he is in the chat saying just under 2,000 subs. Well done there, John's Longbox. Just under 2,000 subs. Your channel's really starting to motor now, isn't it? Really starting to grow. We recently hit the grand total of 150, John's Longbox. So we're kind of a humble milestone in your towering presence, but well done and congratulations.
That was a good milestone. I remember it. 100, and well, I more celebrated 250, but yeah, definitely good. I'm at like 859 at the moment. I'm trying to get to 1,000.
859, you're doing very well. So you've built up a steadfast, loyal audience, by just turning up.
Unfortunately, not a lot of them come when I do live streams, but hey.
Well, they want the fact.
Yeah, but the other thing is, it's up there. I just need to get my watch hours back up. My first year on YouTube, I managed before I got to about maybe 500 subscribers. It's been hard since then, but I had like over 3,000 watch hours. I had 5,000 or 6,000 watch hours.
So you're doing quite well then. You know what I mean?
I was. Now I'm under 1,000 watch hours.
Well, it's all about osmosis, isn't it? The more content you put there and people explore your channel, they'll watch a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you just hook another person who's into Canadian Shield and Cross Comics. Everyone counts. We call it the power of one. And you want to build a Lego brick wall. It starts with a brick, doesn't it? Then you build the next brick to it, then another brick, then another brick. You get the base, the foundation of your bricks for your wall, and then you build your wall bit by bit, brick by brick.
Well, you like the power of one. That is what the first Canadian Shield title is, the power of one.
The power of one, that's right. That's what we call it, because every person counts. Every creative leader counts. Every customer counts. You have to fight for every customer.
For sure. Very much, for sure.
For sure. And on that note, we'd like to say thank you again. It's been a pleasure, Rick Piper. You're everything that indie comics should be: positive and energetic. Twin pillars: positive, energetic, and just personable. Just a nice person to chat with and listen to.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. And now our cheerful and positive outro music. How do you think